What's up, everybody, and welcome to Charge Sports, the official podcast of Oklahoma City Chargers, where we cover youth sports, professional sports, and esports. My name is Bobby Robinson, or for everyone on social media knows me as CRG Bear. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Thunder. We're also going to be talking about Travis Hunter, as well as speaking about the Super Bowl. Now, guys, I have put out a video on all social platforms on the direction that we're going to be taking Charge Sports from here on out. I will be covering youth sports a lot more on this channel, highlighting some upcoming athletes. I will also be trying to get in some interviews for some episodes. We'll have a topic covering esports. We'll have a topic covering the professional sports scene. Now, I will still have my honorable mentions and actively still cover the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you guys can also catch all my takes for the Oklahoma City Thunder over on the PSF app, Pro Sports Fans, where I'll be covering game by game on Bally Sports, where you guys can hear the coverage. If I have the screen pulled up, even see the coverage of the game as well, and be able to sit down and chat with us about the season. But overall, that's going to be the new format that we're going to be doing. I've listened to you guys' reviews, listened to the changes, and I just want to make sure that you guys are entertained, as well as this is an enjoyable experience and a podcast you guys want to be a part of. So, going into today's episode, as stated, we are going to be talking about the Thunder. We're going to be talking about Travis Hunter, and then we're going to roundhouse kick everything off with a Super Bowl discussion. Now, I was supposed to have a guest today to discuss the Super Bowl with me, but he has some things come up, and that's life. You know, I completely understand it. But I am planning on having a co-host pretty soon. All in all, let's get into the show and speak about how this Oklahoma City Thunder roster has been performing. Now, if we check the charts, this team is currently on a 3-1 stretch, and that's coming off of losing 2 straight. So, those 3 straight games was against some tough competition, but ultimately, the 3-game win streak came to a halting conclusion on the 7th when the team lost to the Utah Jazz. Now, the 3 games that I'm going to be pulling up here that Oklahoma City Thunder was able to beat during their stretch was the Charlotte Hornets, which was 106-126. Then they beat the former NBA champions in the Denver Nuggets, 100-105, and then they beat the Toronto Raptors, 127-135. Now, the Raptors and Thunder game was a very close matchup, without a doubt. You see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander putting in 48 minutes. He's having 23 points, 14 assists. You have Chet Holmgren dropping 22 points, 4 assists, a couple blocks. You see Josh Giddey with 24 points. Then you see Noel Dort, 22 points, with Wallace with 8. And then you check out the game against the Hornets. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really showcases why he is in the running for MVP by putting up a stellar performance of 31 points. Wallace putting up 12, Holmgren putting up 16, and 8 for Dort and Giddey. Now, this is just the starting lineup that I'm pulling off. I'm not going to go into too much details on all the players' statistics. I'm a J-Dub fan personally, so I would love to bring up his stuff. But throughout this matchup, you know, it was just more so on the lines of this Oklahoma City Thunder finding its rhythm again, playing on a high level. And one of the biggest things that I can see that you don't see in a lot of young teams is the defensive effort that you see on all ends of the floor. Not just on Shai's, but you see it in Chet, you see it in J-Dub, you see it in Giddey. Like, you see them all put in their part to be able to make plays on the defensive end and transition those buckets on the fast break, and being able to get to the line and be able to capitalize, especially when Shai is getting fouled and things of that nature. So you see this team doing all the right simple things. You're seeing this team do the fundamentals of what is necessarily needed to win. A prime good example was the Toronto and Oklahoma City game. Everybody gave you 20, at least in that starting lineup. Everyone played their part in winning that game, not just Shai. So I just feel like with this team in particular, you're seeing a lot more team cohesive effort. And then you even see it with the interviews. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was talking to one of the reporters, and then you see the entire team just bouncing off of that one conversation like they was finishing each other's sentences. They're that jointed together. I feel like this team has a true chance of making it past the first round, contending into the Western Conference Finals, especially adding, let's say they added Gordon Hayward with the trade man's trade and the draft pick trade over to be able to get him. So I do think adding that veteran key piece to what is already an established core is going to take Hayward to get used to the culture, get used to how things run, get the chemistry with the teammates, but how things are already there. They are in key steps of making a solid run. They are a tough team to beat in the Paycom Center, which is proven. And you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing at the. I feel like it's really, really tough to go against something of the likes of this Oklahoma City roster, unless, and I mentioned it in my previous episode, someone gets hurt. And that's how I look at it. Now, the All-Star break is coming up, which gives all the players the time to rest up, gives all the time for, coaches to reiterate how they're wanting their season. You start to see those teams fighting for playoffs really start to push everything they have, the intensity on their rosters, the play calling. There's a lot of things changing after All-Star break. And with Oklahoma City Thunder being one of the top teams, even if they fall short in 1 or 2 games, they're still relatively in ballpark to make the playoffs. And that's something, in the last 2 seasons, we was play-in teams. So I feel like right now, there's not too many teams in the league that I feel that can beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team in a 7-game stretch. I really do. It's like you see how well they play, how consistent, and when they're healthy, they're a dominant force. So I'm gonna end off there. I know that's not. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and once I'm back, we will be discussing Travis Hunter and the Colorado Buffaloes. Alright guys, I am back and we are going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, which is college football. Now, how college football has been going, guys, and especially how this transfer portal has been operating these last 3 to 4 years, you have seen programs entirely change, you have seen new national champions, you've seen so many different things, and one of the biggest stories that happened last year was Deion Sanders going to become the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes and then moving from Jackson State with his sons as well as Travis Hunter. Now, everyone could say the 4-8 record that Colorado Buffaloes had last season was the overhyped 4-8 record of all time because of how much media and publicity a team of that caliber got. But it's not just Deion who changed this program around. It's also the players that came into this program that's changed around. One of which being him, in my opinion, of college football. The stats prove it. He's a dog. And that's Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter in his first season at Colorado Buffaloes has become the 31st sinuous All-American. Excuse me if I said that last word wrong. And his season this year was incredible. Also, star cornerback and receiver was named the first team All-American by American Football Coaches Association, AFCA, and the Sporting News. He was first team athlete position by the Sporting News and first team all-purpose for AFCA. To be considered a sinuous All-American, a player must be chosen by at least 3 of the 5 publications utilized by the NCAA, AP, FWAA, AFCA, and the Sporting News and Walter Camp. Hunter just missed out on a unanimous All-American when he was not included on the Walter Camp team, which is the only one of the 5 that does not have an all-purpose flex or athlete position on its team. CU has just 5 unanimous All-Americans in its history, with tight end Daniel Graham being the most recent. The first team All-American at CU by any publication since Soldier, Hunter has won the Paul Hornung Award, which goes to the most versatile player in the country. Hunter played 1,002 snaps from scrimmage, 436 on offense, 566 on defense, as well as 30 on special teams in 9 games he played. He missed 3 full games and a half of another with a Lagravate liver. Offensively, Hunter caught 57 passes for 721 yards and 5 touchdowns. On defense, he had 30 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 5 pass breakups. Travis Hunter is probably the biggest story in college football, in my personal opinion, especially because of the fact that you have not seen anyone do anything like this before. Prior to the likes of Deion Sanders, and you could say Bo Jackson, you know what I mean, when it came to just being as versatile as, in the professional athlete sports. But you have not seen a college athlete, especially in this era, in our era, perform the way he did last season. It's unfortunate that he did get hurt those 3 games. There has been, plays where he, I felt like he did get cooked. Prime good example, it was a play that he got cooked by Stanford. 1,002 snaps. You know what I mean? Offense and defensively, you're putting in effort. You have 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the other end. You're really putting in a lot of effort, and on top of that, performing on a high level. And that's something that needs to be really thought out, because this is just his first year with CU, and you have to take into consideration of what happened with CU in just this, signing day period for January. The entire program is almost drastically changed and flipped from last year already. Possibly done if Shedeur Sanders could get the ball to Travis Hunter a lot more. Or what could happen if our defensive line applied a lot more pressure on the quarterbacks, and the quarterback's forced to make a lot of inaccurate passes, which can give up interceptions and broken pass plays. There's a lot of things that can change just off our offensive line and defensive line, because those were the 2 key factors. And I felt like last year the Colorado Buffaloes had massive failures in. The offensive line gave up 52 sacks, and then you had Shedeur Sanders still relatively with those amount, 3,200 yards thrown. I do say that Shedeur Sanders, with more protection this year, better offensive line. Like I said, he has 4 or 5 big guys already coming from that 16 signings that Deion had in the open signing period in January, one of which is Jordan Seaton, which he's already gotten really familiar with. I feel like with more protection with Shedeur allows more offensive power, because Shedeur is a grown quarterback. He is very much a solid pocket presence quarterback that has the accuracy and the arm to be able to get things going. And his mentor is Tom freaking Brady. So it makes a whole lot of sense on how Shedeur has grown into the quarterback he is, on top of having a father like Deion, who was very much skilled on the defensive aspect of just learning. But Shedeur is just overall a very intelligent quarterback and very smart and understand the game well. So giving his own, credit as well. But then you look at, like I said, Travis Hunter, who's played both sides of the ball. How this benefits him is if Shedeur has the protection, Travis Hunter can get more receptions off, because that was if it wasn't Xavier Weaver or Jimmy Horn Jr., it was Travis Hunter that was getting the ball from Shedeur and its favorite target. Obviously, that opens up the doors for the offensive firepower that you could probably see next season, especially with Travis Hunter being healthy, offensive line being there, Shedeur having 1 year, with the CU program and things being adaptable. So that's that. And then on the defense side of things, as stated, if with that defensive line applying more pressure on the quarterback, forces the quarterback to throw more bad passes, which in result could lead to interceptions and takeaways on the defensive end on that secondary. But also, I would like to see Travis Hunter be a lot more aggressive on the defensive side of things, because of the fact that there was plays last year where he got slipped in coverage and he got just overall burnt. And those are plays that he can definitely learn from and look to improve on. So, Travis Hunter and as well as Shedeur all being named 1 and 2 potential candidates for the Heisman Trophy next season. Both of which I would love to see capture the Heisman Trophy. More so, I think, in the likes of Shedeur. Shedeur, I feel like this year he was already in conversation, especially, but I feel like the offensive line really let him down. I do not think Sean Lewis's hyper tempo offense worked well with the offensive line playing so poorly. I don't think, I'm not saying Sean Lewis was a bad coach, even though he was pseudo fired. I do think that if he had the proper offensive line, the hyper offense with Jamie Horton Jr. and the speed that he had and the talent he had in that skill position with Xavier Weaver, I feel like all that will have worked heavily into play for Colorado. But that's just that, guys, you know. All right, guys, we are back, and we're discussing the Super Bowl. And you guys know my prediction. I put my prediction out on TikTok. I wanted to see the Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason for this is, my only reason for this is the fact that I dislike the 49ers. I dislike the 49ers. No, this is not a conversation about that, guys. No, I am going to actually have a legit conversation about this breakdown of the 49ers versus the Chiefs and who I honestly think will win in a statistic battle. Now, it's going to be very tough. I'm still going to go with the Chiefs because I can't root for the 49ers because I'm a Seahawks fan. But overall, I feel like the Chiefs have a very tough task in beating the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers defense with Nick Bosa on the end of, being one of the prime stars in that defense, and not only how well this defense has played against a lot of elite teams this year, it's going to be hard for Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes to exploit the weaknesses. I feel like the key values that they can get, that they've gotten all season, is beating teams who play in zone. That's how Patrick Mahomes beat out the Baltimore Ravens, is because of the fact that the Baltimore Ravens was caught in zone a lot, which left Kelce open a lot of possessions, kicking in touchdowns. So that's just, personally, I feel like if the 49ers sit in zone too long, Patrick Mahomes is going to pick them off. And we're going to see a repeat of what happened in the AFC Championship game. Now, the only stipulation that might play a huge cornerstone in that is the fact that the Ravens, even though they was the number one rush team in the league, or one of the number one rushing teams in the league, a whole lot of running. And Christian McCaffrey is going to do that. He's going to put the ball, give you 4 to 5 yards each run, you know what I mean? He's going to be consistent. He's going to ground and pound. And when you have the likes of George Kittle, you have Deebo Samuels, you know what I mean? Like, you have weapons outside of your given running back, who also can go out and make a play on the passing, run a route. Brock Purdy has a decent amount of offensive power that if the San Francisco Chiefs defense cannot hold up to that, it's going to be a very, very long day, because you don't have, and it really comes off of Brock Purdy. It really does. And this is why I'm going to say, if the 49ers successfully beat the Chiefs, it will be off of the success of Brock Purdy, because you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get out of Christian McCaffrey. You know what you're going to get out of George Kittle. You know what you're going to get out of Deebo. But what are you going to get out of Brock? Because if Brock is not delivering accurate passes, if he's not playing well, and he's not getting the ball to his key attacking players like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, then it's going to rely on Christian McCaffrey to run the ball the entire time. And then we're going to look like the Christian McCaffrey of old, of him just running consistently like he was doing in Carolina, where there's not any pass progression and the Chiefs defense can be able to adjust to overall the play callings. And Andy Reid is going to adjust. So that's something that you have to just play a huge part. I feel like Brock Purdy is one of the huge reasons if this 49ers team ended up winning, is because if he comes out and he's slinging the ball, he's making accurate passes, he's reading the defenses, he's reading the zone coverages, he's able to get the ball in the right places, especially when he has the attacking weapons like Deebo Samuels, who's very skilled in route running, very elite, strong, impactful receiver. And then you have George Kittle, who's been fairly one of the best tight ends in the league outside of so with that, it comes off it comes off the shoulders of Brock. Obviously play calling and coaching comes into play. You'll see the coaching and that's another huge part. It's just the veteran experience. Now, like I said, I'm going to be going for the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's just bottom line. I'm not going to vote for the 49ers. I feel like I'm going to give a 24-21 score. I feel like it's going to be a close game, and that's just it, guys. It really is. Now, I am going to be explaining some new things for the new show, so you guys are hyper aware of what's going to be going down. I spoke to a lot of individuals about making updates on Charge Sports, and then I also have gotten some reviews from you guys on Discord, as well as the stuff that you left on the Spotify. And with that, I have decided that we're going to change direction on how we're going to be presenting information. I'm going to be bringing in, like I said, new interviews. I'm going to be adding, esports takes. I'm going to be adding professional takes, college, youth, and how this format's going to be. I just don't want you guys to know it's going to be fun and exciting. I'm going to talk about top stories that's happened on socials, things of that nature, and that's how the flow of the show is going to go. It's going to be a take for each top. But yeah. I'm sorry, I'm a little rambly. I have a lot on my mind. I have some stuff that I have to get knocked out, so I appreciate everyone staying tuned to episode 3. Episode 4 is going to be a whole lot more clean cut. Now, if you guys have any tips and tricks for me to get better, let me know. But I appreciate everyone staying tuned to the show. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.